Preseason isn't going well for Everton. I thought I'd come on here and just chat about how I feel about it, try to be as honest as possible about it, not shout too much, not get too angry. I've seen a lot of people get quite angry on Twitter and on other places, and I don't think that's the right thing just yet. I think it's still early doors, but let's get to it and discuss what is actually happening at Everton. Firstly, I think a couple of the preseason games, they haven't gone our way, mainly because we haven't got the squad. We went to America with 13 fit senior players. Granted, there's been few injuries in Tarkowski and Branthwaite, and that massively takes away what was good about the team last season. But as well, like David Moyes said, it just speaks volumes about the players we don't have. The players we do have, they've been okay. The first half against Bournemouth was pretty positive, but then obviously we saw mistakes creep in. We saw it again against West Ham. It's not good enough, just like David Moyes said. It's not really good enough. But what's the truth? Can we afford to be angry right now? Is there too much to get excited about? What about the transfers? From a transfer perspective, I think Everton have been doing good things in terms of finding these targets and going for them. Getting them over the line obviously has been pretty difficult, it sounds. The problem with this being is if we don't get our number one transfer and we don't get our number two transfer, it starts to become a rush for the start of the season. We're only 2 weeks away from the start of the season. Getting these new guys in through the door is of paramount importance because you don't want them arriving a couple days before the Premier League starts because they're not going to be ready. They're not going to be settled in. They won't have time to learn the tactics. It'll be very disjointed and will probably look quite ugly on the pitch. And that's the last thing we want. But then the question becomes, well, when do you start dropping down the list of priorities in terms of the transfers you want? We're linked with Ainsley Maitland-Niles at the minute, and I don't mind that. He's a player that can play at fullback. He can play in central midfield. He's 27, lots of energy, quite good technically as well. It's okay, but it's not going to change the world. In terms of players that do change the world, as it was, Jack Grealish, Malik Fofana, Takefusa Kubo, what's going on with those guys? It's clear that we want them. Will they come is a different question. Jack Grealish I'm going to start with because he apparently doesn't mind the idea of coming to Everton and is open to the move. However, his 300 grand a week wages are proving to be quite a big problem with Manchester City adamant that they don't want to pay that and they want to get a fee for Jack Grealish, especially considering that they spent £100 million on him not that long ago. Having said that, I am aware that Jack Grealish is on holiday at the minute, so a decision won't be made anytime soon, and that's a problem for quite a few reasons. Firstly, you want Grealish to be bedded in. You want the team to know how he plays so he can improve everyone else, as I pointed out in the video I posted yesterday. But when it comes to attracting those new players, having Jack Grealish already at the club would massively help us with our pull in the transfer market. Everton are a club historically that I looked upon as quite a big club, and we are. But the problem is that when you finish as low as you do for consecutive years, to the outsiders looking in, you don't look that impressive. Okay, we've got the new stadium, and I'll have to hold my hands up and say that I thought the new stadium would improve our chances of getting these players in because it's new, it's shiny, it's one of the best in the country. But it clearly isn't the case with players like Malik Fofana, which I'm going to talk about next, clearly wanting to play Champions League football. I know Forest have been in for him, and they haven't got a Champions League football, but they do have Europa League football after they got bumped up because of the Palace situation. And that could prove to be our downfall. Clubs the similar size of Nottingham Forest going for players and be able to offer them Europa League football. And that is something... It's a catch-22 in a sense that we can't solve that problem without these good players coming in to help us achieve Europe, but these good players are demanding Europe. So when that becomes the problem, you have to look elsewhere or just throw money at them. And I know there's a hesitancy between us as Everton fans to want to throw money at the problem because that has in the past massively hurt us, and it does have implications down the line. It set us back so many years, and if it wasn't for the new ownership, we'd still be in a tricky situation when it comes to spending money. Speaking of spending money, Takefusa Kubo, a player who's got a €60 million release clause, is a player Everton have been interested in. We're not going to pay €60 million. What's that, about £50 million? We're not going to pay that. That's a big budget. That's a big chunk of our budget just gone like that. And would he want to come to us? That's another question. Real Sociedad, a team that will sell you players. Isak went to Newcastle. Merino went to Arsenal. Very recently as well, Zubamendi's also gone to Arsenal. If players want to leave, Real Sociedad do struggle to hold on to them. But why would Kubo come to Everton if it wasn't for an improved deal on what he's got already? At 24, he's not in a rush because he's got more big contracts coming up in his future. So tempting him to Everton now at 24 is a difficult thing because he's going to want to move that takes him up a level because he wants to be hitting his peak in the next couple of years. And if Everton aren't in a great position on the pitch, it does hamper him and hampers his possible next move. Having said all of this, the profile of players we're going for in their age and the players that we got rid of, that's quite promising because we've got rid of Ashley Young, 38, for example, brought in a 19-year-old in Adam Asnu as his replacement, technically, because Ashley Young did play on the left for us. He played as right back for us at times as well, played in a further forward at times as well. But Adam Asnu as that direct replacement, if we're looking at it like that, allows us to make money in the future. Adam Asnu is a player that he needs one good season probably for teams to start sniffing around him. Milos Kerkez at Bournemouth, for example, had 2 good seasons and then he got sold for a lot of money. And I think selling is not necessarily a bad thing for Everton because it allows us to spend more money. We're at the point now where we can't be one of those clubs that just goes, we don't sell any of our players, we're going to go up together. We need to be selling players to then bring in the next set of players and just keep doing that and build a squad that challenges for the top 7 every single season. Brighton, for example, a club that just do this year in, year out with no problems. They've got replacements for their replacements already lined up. They never struggle to replace a manager. It's always seamless, be that a coaching appointment or a player acquisition. So, yeah, we lost against Bournemouth. We lost against West Ham. It's not a coaching problem for me. It's a player problem. We don't have the players. Moises said he's frustrated. We need to be backing him. As honest as I can be here, I think we will get some of them, not all of them. And that is a possible problem. May lead to us spending big in January at a time where you don't want to spend big. If we're in a position where we're about 10th in the league in January, it's going to be really interesting because the owners will have a choice to make. Spend to try and push for top 7, top 6, or keep it as it is, finish in mid-table, try to do the same again next summer, bring in these players. Hopefully there's more due diligence done in the background this time as to whether we can get these players to come or not, because at the minute it feels like we're throwing bids to clubs, then talking to the players, and the players are telling us no, and then bang, 2 days have gone. 2 valuable days in this transfer window are just absolutely gone. Or we become a club that our players' second option. For Fana, for example, we could get him, but he's waiting for better offers. We need to be sorting these deals out before the transfer window starts, and then when the transfer window starts, we just go and buy them, and they bring them in. Hopefully, we have some positive news over the next week. This next week is crucial. Every single time we do sign a player or are heavily linked with a player, I will be covering how they fit into the squad, what they're good at, what they're maybe not as good at, and obviously how it affects the tactics. So like and subscribe for those. Fingers crossed.